2 minutes each. Go ahead, Luke.
Very good. I'll just use my 1 or 2 minutes to tell you a little bit about why I think I should have one of your votes, and I'll try to keep them in short bullet points. Number one, I have academic and business experience uniquely blended together on how to essentially run an organization that teaches people. That's a difficult type of business to run. There's a lot of logistics and a lot of regulation. Number two, I've lived in this town and before this in a small town called Stewartsville, just east of here, for nearly all of my life. I think all but 5 or 6 years. Number three, I'm a passionate community leader. I care very much about the 10, 20, 30-year outlook of what's happening based on the decisions we're making today, which is what motivated me to run. Some of these decisions, and I understand that the board can be in a difficult position, they're going to have some massive impacts if they're left and not corrected, not fixed, not refunded. I'm a decision maker that is based on facts and statistics, but I also understand the importance of morale and those that are carrying your mission forward. I often talk about any successes I've ever had in business are not normally because of me. It's because of the team that we've put together, and you have to have buy-in first and foremost. So with that, I'll pass it on.
One of the main reasons that I had decided to run for the school board was because of my belief that education is the foundation for the future of any community. And that probably sounds like a cliche, but I said a lot of those in the classrooms over the years as time went along. I think I can bring the proper skill set to serve on the school board. One, I have worked in both the public sector and the private sector, almost equally, about 20-some years each one of those. So I do have the business background. And somebody asked me, well, there's so much to do with budgeting and everything. Well, I was a business teacher. I taught marketing and economics in the classroom for over 20 years. I worked in private industry. I'm very capable of reading budgets and accounting forms, all those types of things as well. It's also important for me to be a part of. I certainly can't do it alone, and it's going to take a long time, is to rebuild the trust in the community, both within the community itself and internally within the school district as well. One of the closing things that, and I've said this most every time that we've had the forums, is that oftentimes when we have candidates speaking, and not any of us are particularly doing this, but oftentimes campaigns dwell on the negative side of things, the things that aren't going quite right or what we need to fix. And believe me, folks, we have a number of things that still need to be fixed, but we have come a long way. But don't forget that we do have a very, very good school district here. It's a strong school district with extremely good teachers, very good programs. We just need to continue to be able to support them and for us to go forward, because we've kind of taken a backward step here for this next coming school year. We need to be able to go forward again, provide the resources for the teachers, and make everything about the students themselves.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out here on Saturday. And I'm asking for you sincerely for your vote. I will just be one of 7 votes, but I'm asking for you to give me an opportunity to continue the work we've been on for many, many years about watching the taxpayers' dollars. And then the additional mission now to make our teachers one of the top paid in the state. Some people may recall that last time I ran for school board was in 2010. And I lamented about losing against a very, very famous and popular and important person. And I sure wished I could beat him. But as time wore on from 2010, not so much. So I've been in this battle about watching the taxpayers' money being spent properly for the education of our kids. My 2 points. I'm watching out. I'm going to be there for the taxpayers. I'm going to be very approachable. And I can work with anyone. Even you, Larry. I'm there for the teachers. That's my number 2. And what does that equal? We got the taxpayer watched out for. We build their trust. It's all about the money. They don't trust us about the money. They aren't worried about how we're educating our kids because we got good teachers out there, unappreciated and underpaid. In order to move forward, we have to put 3 new voices on. We got to get away from the old regime. We have to put 3 new voices on. We have 6 people here that could do that. You want change? You got to vote for change. You got to vote for change. 9 days from now. And again, I just honestly would ask for your vote, give me a chance to be on there. And we're at a turning point. A lot of things could happen very positively in the next 3 to 6 years.
The reason I'm up here running is just because I want to help. It's what I do, I guess. I worked for the school district for 23 years. I worked 3 years in the cafeteria, 4 years in personnel as an administrative assistant, 16 years as the bookkeeper at Central High School. Money, budgeting, that is definitely my thing. Right now, I'm working at the Teachers Credit Union. I retired a year and a half ago and couldn't take it, so I went back to work part-time. I have 5 grandchildren in this school system, from kindergarten to a senior. My granddaughter that's a senior, she's already been accepted at Northwest. She's going to be a teacher. She wants to be an early education teacher. So it makes a big difference to me what happens now, what happens in the future. I want to do what I can. I'm definitely one to in there, do the work that needs to be done. I have been on many city committees, so I'm used to working on boards, and I've been on the ad hoc committee, the Division of Aging. Right now, I'm the secretary for the Fire and Emergency Committee for the City of St. Joe. I've been on the Rewrite the Codes for the city. I have 15 years. I was a PTA mom on the executive board. I am a worker. I will do what I can to help. I definitely want to lift our teachers up. I think besides the students, I mean, students, that's what we're about, is the business of educating students. But after the students, my number one priority is the teachers.
I am the ultimate outsider in this election. I'm not an ex-district employee. I'm not a politician. I'm not a for-hire lobbyist. I'm not in with the leaders of this city. I'm not running a fancy campaign with rallies or fundraisers. All fine things, but none of those are actually needed to actually do the job of the school board member to research and evaluate and make decisions. I'm just a dad. I'm a relative newcomer to this town who wants to put the focus back on the education of every child. My son will actually graduate from Central next year. So I could actually easily say, none of the school problems are my problem because it won't matter to me in a year, but that's not who I am. I believe every child deserves a great education like my son has gotten at Central over the last 3 years, and I want to be part of the change to a better future. If elected, the decisions I make will be based solely on the research and facts that move our kids forward with their education. There'll never be a question if I'm doing something for a donor or what a friend wants. I am running solely to try and do what is best for our kids and our teachers. I'm also not afraid to put my thoughts and answers out there to questions being asked. I created my own website with information about me and a Q&A. I'm not afraid to listen and converse about topics. That's what I do daily in my job. I don't believe that I'm always right, and it doesn't have to always be done my way because I may not be right. If presented with information that there's a better way, I'm willing to change my mind and do what is best for our kids, because that ultimately is what we're all here for, is for our kids' education, whether it's our own kids, our neighbors' kids, and the future kids of this town, because education is the backbone of our community.
Well, I agree with everything everybody else said. Very good ideas. As you know, I was appointed to fill a vacancy last April, and I retired from Heartland 13 years ago. And before my retirement in Heartland, 2 of the things I was involved in was, number 1, working on poverty issues within the city. Poverty in St. Joe, as you know, is on the rise. We have to do something to stop that. The other thing I was deeply involved in and led for several years was the strategic planning in Heartland. So I have a really good feel for strategic planning, and I think that goes into what we need to have done right now. Poverty, the only weapon with which to fight poverty is education. We cannot buy our way out of poverty. We cannot legislate our way out of poverty. we can only educate our way out of poverty. And that's the passion that drives me, is how do we address poverty? How do we get a handle on it in St. Joe, and how do we turn it around? So that's the reason that I decided to throw my hat in the ring last April, and that's the reason I'm here today, asking for your vote again. Since I'm retired, I don't have to report to anybody other than my wife. She'll tell you that my biggest weakness is that I am right all the time. We can get past that. I do want to go back to one point I made earlier when I mentioned the November election for a levy. The thing that we have to keep in mind is when a levy is passed, the money does not start coming in until January. So if we do not pass a levy in November, that means we're facing at least another $5 to $6 million cut in the 1920 school year budget, because the money will not come in time. So we need to keep that in mind how we ask for money. School year budgets are different than private budgets. And believe me, I'm familiar with big budgets and feel very comfortable with them. Like was mentioned before, there are some really good people up here in front of you. Whichever three you pick, you're going to have three winners out there. So I'd ask for your vote, and then whichever other two you pick, that'll be fine also. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Great questions.
According to the rules of the forum, any candidates that couldn't be here were able to submit a statement. I will read a statement from Seth Wright. Thank you to NEA for hosting this forum and giving the voters of St. Joseph an opportunity to make an informed decision about the Board of Education election. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend due to a family commitment. My daughter has a dance competition in Kansas City this weekend, and the schedule of her competing will prevent me from attending. I apologize for not being able to attend as educators and parents know, you will understand that the importance of spending time with your family. Thank you for your passion for public education in the St. Joseph School District, and if elected, I look forward to working with you to move our school district forward in a positive direction. Again, thank you to all who came this afternoon. Thank you to our candidates. And Eric, take us home.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give our candidates one round of applause. I guess I'll take it since I was given it. I also would like us to give our moderators a wonderful round of applause. Thank you very much. In our closing here, which is very brief, because I know we've been here a while, before I start this, I will say that if our candidates would like to stay behind for the remainder of the time that we have allotted for today, we have put on our schedule time for people to meet and greet and speak with them if they are available to stay. So just keep that in mind, and if those people stay around, then you are welcome to speak with them. So in our closing, I would like to thank all of our candidates today for coming out and answering some of these tough questions. The future of our district is going to reside on a new board, and it's going to have three of you. The three of you that make it to the new board, I do hope that you take this responsibility seriously and that you take it with humility. We need a new direction. Thank you once again for participating in today's forum. And to the audience out here today, I also want to thank you. As I mentioned before, you are the ones with the voice. You have the power to elect the board members who you believe will make the best difference for all of our staff, our students, and our community. Please exercise your right to vote on April 3rd. And I didn't mention this earlier, but because I forgot. But my name is Eric Simmons, and I currently serve as the president of the St. Joseph NEA. So if I'm not just some random guy up here talking to you. But anyway, thank you once again, and have a wonderful rest of your day.